Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking about memory. Memory is defined as the nervous system's capacity to retain and retrieve skills and knowledge. This capacity allows us to generally take information from environmental events and store it for later retrieval. Our brains retain information by a phrase called encoding. Encoding usually comes in three stages: visual, which is picture; auditory or acoustic, which is sound; and semantic, which is meaning. Um, Basically, with encoding, it takes the information that you're trying to store and turns it into a format that's easiest for your brain to remember. Storage is a phase where the encoding information is stored, and retrieval is when you can pick out that encoded information that's been stored and be like, hey, I remember this, or knowing what the answer to a math problem is, that type of thing. In 1968, researchers Atkinson and Shiffrin created the multi-store model of memory. It's also called the modal model, and it proposes that there are three types of memory. Stage one is sensory register, and that's basically the very beginning of the memory process, where all the information starts coming in. And the duration of this is usually a quarter of a second to a half a second. It varies, and encoding is sensory-based, sensory-specific. If the attention is given to the information that's coming in the sensory register stage, it then goes to stage two, which is the short-term memory. It's also referred to as STM, and the retention rate is dependent on the individual's rehearsal rate. They're verbally repeating the information out loud to remember it. There's three key aspects of STM. That's limited capacity, limited duration, and encoding. The rule of thumb is usually 7 items with a plus or minus leeway. So an individual can remember either 5 to 9 items in their STM. The duration is 0 to 18 seconds, and the encoding in this stage is mainly auditory. So it's mainly sounds that you remember in your STM. So it can be easily forgotten if you're distracted. So people with ADHD tend to have a rough time with their short-term memory. Or if a passage of time has gone by where you're not rehearsing the information. The final stage of the modal model is long-term memory. And this stage, retention is lifetime, usually. There are 3 types of LTM: procedural, which is responsible for knowing motor skills, so like sweeping a floor or riding a bike. Semantic, which stores information about the world, so like knowing country capitals, what words mean in a different language, that sort of thing. And episodic, which is your information about events that have happened in your life, so like the first day of school or the day you got married or things like that. The procedural type of LTM does not involve conscious thought, whereas the other 2 types do have conscious thought. And memory retention is the ability to recall the stored information, and there are a few methods to improve memory retention, and one of them is chunking, and that's where you're trying to remember like a number or a code, and you simply break it down into chunks. This has been very beneficial to me when I've been learning codes or phone numbers. As a kid, I would always chunk them down into chunks. Another method is rhyming. For example, like the rhyme about the days in a month. So like 30 days has September. That's always been very beneficial for people because our brains have a tendency to remember like rhymes or rhythms. So the rhyming really helps people retain information, learn it, and keep it in. So I hope this video has been beneficial for you. If you have more questions, just email me. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.